Um, wow, thank you so much for coming out. This is a hell of a nice crowd for Los Angeles, where nobody goes anywhere. We're very grateful. This is the first time we've tried something like this, and we had such a great turnout, full of people that are excited about making things out of wood. So I hope it's done you some good. And now we'll have an attempt at entertainment. I spent the last month touring the country with this book, doing things like this, but this is the hometown show, so it's going to have a little bit of extra juice, which I haven't fully planned out. Start by applauding the flag, the W at this party, because we could all use some good news this week. And before I get into the clumsy part of the show, first and foremost, all of these guys just built this goddamn place like 10 minutes ago. So I'm so grateful to Angel City Lumber, Jeff and Charles, for putting this on here in their space. And they busted their asses. I mean, that's all they do is bust their asses, but specifically for this show. And then there's two dogs. One is named Baloo, one named Gus. You guys chill out. There are two ladies, Laura Zahn, who runs Allied Workshop, and Karen Garter, who works for my wife and I, who did this whole goddamn thing. Like, I was like, hey, I'll be in LA Sunday. I'll be there at like 1 o'clock. And so they set this whole thing up. So let's give them a round of applause, please. I guess I'll start off with these songs. I've never played these songs before. My 60 plug in. The audio book, I love doing audiobooks, especially of my own stuff. And and this book was no exception, but as you've seen, the back half of the book is projects, which seemed not really conducive to an audiobook, because it would be like a cookbook, like go ahead and add the brown sugar, I'll wait. And so instead, my editor and I had the idea to add some songs to the audiobook, music to woodwork by, to make up for the deficit. There are two projects on the audiobook, and you get a URL, which is like a ticket, but it's on your computer. Someone explained it to me, but you turn in the ticket and they send you the pictures of the project to, I guess, your TV, or you get a videotape or something. But then to fill in, I wrote these songs, and I have a friend named Jeff Tweedy who has a band called Wilco, and he generously wrote the music, and we recorded them. So on the audiobook are these songs, including 2 instrumental tracks, music to stand by, which is so nice to have a crowd that laughs at that. My friend Cornmo challenged me to write an album of woodworking songs. And so for a long time I had this joke in my act where I would say, so this is how far I've gotten. I wrote that part. I measure very, very carefully, it's true. But my pencil doesn't doesn't provide the clearest view. I could really see it better in red or blue, so I tighten my twy, I chalk the line. Make a Chippendale chair, the crest rail should hit the post right there. I obviously could get it righter. One of these angles needs to be slighter. I could make this effing chair if I were brighter, but the way it's lining up, I've seen vaginas that were tighter. And it burns, 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 the compound miter, the compound miter, and it burns, 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 the compound miter, the compound miter. I'm milling up some maple, it's Oregon big leaf. My planer hit a staple, my brother's gonna get some grief. I find him in the break room, drinking the coffee I provide. When I told him about the metal, he knew enough to run and hide. And I actually wrote a whole narrative about my brother chipping a blade on the planer. And I sang it at the Fine Woodworking Show in New Paltz a few years ago, and it destroyed. All the Yankees were falling out of their chairs, and I was so excited. And then I continued playing it at some colleges and was met with a stony silence. So I cut it down to that. So that was this running joke that I had these woodworking songs, but now I have some for real, and I've never played them because I thought they would be boring, but you guys might like them, so I'm gonna try them out. Let's see. Okay, let's start with the radio hit. Get a little more guitar and a wedge, please. This is gonna be clumsy, just to let you know. So thanks in advance. Mahogany for my guitar neck, spruce for my violin. Willow's good for my whip and switch, depending what century I'm in. Ash handle for my hatchet, teak deck on top of my boat. Cypress knees under that, but the tree that makes it all float is American white oak. You can't fix it, it ain't broke. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Give me American white oak. Give me American white oak. Hickory branch on my axe, cherry on my pretty bowl. Lignum vitae will never crack, and cedar makes your totem pole. But Stickley only wants one tree to feed the little squirrels and me. Quarter saw it, you'll come to know joy. It's the state tree of Illinois. It's great for beds, for sleep, for reproduction. Quercus alba has a closed cell construction that makes it ideal for watertight locations like barrel and whiskey, and floating wet locations like Atlantis, or with Gandalf to the Grey Havens. Oh, America. American white oak. I'm an oxen is my yoke. I get so hot I start to smoke for American white oak. For American white oak. Give me American white oak. Thank you. So it's the geekiest thing I've ever done. I'm terribly proud of it. This will work fine. Can I get a chair, please? Is there an empty chair? Can you use one of these right here? Problem solving. It's the greatest part of woodworking. This is the theme song of the whole shebang. It's called Good Clean Fun. The lyrics are on the back of your book. And I'd like you all to sing along. How do you like that, woodworkers? When we get to the chorus, it goes like this. Good clean fun. Good clean fun. Good clean fun. Good clean fun. Here's your part. It's good, so good. It's clean as a whistle. It's fun like there's bacon for everyone. Alright, so we'll try it. Let's try it once. Good clean fun. You can sing here too. Good clean fun. Good clean fun. Good clean fun. It's good, so good. It's clean as a whistle. It's fun like the bacon for everyone. Great. It's like when you swing your bat and you hit a home run. The kind of good time you can share with your daughter or your son. When the grill is hot, it's the quality you can slap on a bun. Smooth, it's good, it's clean, it's good and clean fun. The amount of delight my tools give me a ton. The tally of my cuts after measuring twice, one. The number of wasted hours in my shop, none. It's good, it's clean, it's good and clean fun. Here we go. Good clean fun. Good clean fun. Good clean fun. Good clean fun. It's good, so good. It's clean as a whistle. It's fun like the bacon for everyone. Bless you. It's good like a kid who will play outdoors, and it's clean like the kitchen after doing the chores. It's a twinkle in your step and a spring in your eye, a double rainbow across the sky. My oh my. It giggles and it burbles more than a babbling brook. It's a big mouth bass dancing away from your hook. It's when you shake your fanny till it can no longer be shook. It's good, clean fun, and it's a woodworking book. You can make a cribbage board from only wood and glue, or a table to hold your beer and your barbecue. You might not be ready to pull off a cedar canoe, but read a book and work hard, and you could make your own kazoo. Here we go. Good clean fun. Good clean fun. Good clean fun. good, clean fun. It's good, so good, it's clean as a whistle, it's fun like it's bacon for everyone. One more time, it's good, so good, it's clean as a whistle, it's fun like You guys are the best. And now this song is done. Thank you. You're so generous. Usually crowds are so reticent, but it's good, clean fun. This is a song that is rather sweet. Lee, who runs my shop, you're going to meet everybody from the shop here momentarily, to their dismay. And but Lee, who runs my shop, and I'll talk more about in a minute. She brought a saying, and one of the fun things about life in general, but especially shop life, are sayings, figures of speech. And I had never heard this one, but her saying is, the lazy carpenter works the hardest. And she said that a couple times in reference to some steps I had skipped. And I just put my hands on my hips and did some arithmetic, and I said, it's a really good saying. And I've always been moved by her perspicacity, and so I wrote this song. Please don't check me too closely on my metallurgy. I'm a wood guy. Here's the horrible thing about doing these songs at the Wilco Loft in Chicago with my beautiful hero and husband, Jeff Tweedy. And he'd like come up with the tune, and we would kind of figure it out together, which means I would be like, yeah, that sounds great. And then he would record like a scratch track, and then his son Spencer would play drums, and then Jeff would play like 5 different guitars and create this beautiful thing. Then he would finally sing what it sounded, the melody. Then the final thing was, I had to listen to Jeff Tweedy singing my words and replace his voice with my bullshit voice. It was the craziest fire and ice experience of like absolute tears of angelic joy with the torture of killing the beautiful babies that he had created. Anyway, let's take a swing at this. Chisel must be sharp to cut. We all know this to be true, but it's easier to stay at your work, procrastinate like a jerk. It's a popular mammalian quirk that we consider this foible a perk. But a good worker knows not to shirk the duty of loving her steel, to grind it to shape on the wheel, dip it in water and anneal a temper that matches her zeal, which her mallet will presently feel. So if your dovetails are less than ideal, step back and breathe and think. There's an easy way out of this stink. Do the steps in order, that's the smartest way to accomplish the work of the artist. But lazy carpenter works the hardest. Do the steps in order, that's the artist, way to accomplish the work of the artist. The lazy carpenter works the hardest. The lazy carpenter works the hardest. Thank you. Okay, I'll wrap this up with a song that is not woodworking. This is from my current touring show called Full Bush. And I felt compelled to write this song because it's been 2 years since we finished making Parks and Recreation. Are you cheering for the show or because we finished? Either way, thank you. All opinions are welcome in this climate, except for one opinion. But the weird thing is, I'm a character actor, so I have to keep trying to get more jobs, and that means I can look like anything except Ron Swanson, because nobody's going to hire Ron Swanson to play a lawyer in Atlanta working for Big Tobacco, for example, just hypothetical. And so I've had to be clean shaven. I've had to have every other iteration of facial hair than just a mustache. And people are generally accepting, which I appreciate, but some feedback does get back to me, like through social media, where people will say things like, I saw Nick Offerman without his mustache, I vomited and died. Which, now I'm an actor, so I can turn just about anything into a compliment, and that is clearly a very generous compliment to my work and the work that we did on Parks and Recreation. I would just urge you to consider the fact that the thing you're talking about that made you vomit and expire is my fucking face. It's my face, so it's all, it's my naked face. So maybe curb the compliments a little bit in consideration of my mother, but it's that sensibility that led me to write this song. I understand you've come to love another man. He's studly and heroic, so I completely understand. But now your expectations are a little high, I fear. 'Cause if I tried to live like him, I'd be dead within a year. See, he can't eat a big-ass steak for every single meal, 'cause his colon is fictitious, while mine is all too real. And his scotch and take it would be my liver's doom, 'cause mine is controlled by nature, and his by the whims of the writer's room. I'm not Ron Swanson. Hear me shouting from sea to sea, from Texas to Wisconsin. He only lives in your goddamn TV. I'm not Don Draper or Gomer Pyle, and I'm certainly not the Fonz. Please understand that these are my own mortal hands, not Ron's. While eggs and bacon start Ron's every day, I require the occasional cantaloupe to keep the heart attacks at bay. And public libraries are nothing but heroic to me. They're not the buttholes of Satan that Ron believes them to be. Duke Silver could fill your ear holes, ladies, with his salty jazz. But my own horn has none of the panty-dropping magic that Duke silver hats. The death of little Sebastian was just the second time that Ron ever cried. But I was blubbering for a month after Inside Out and Bing Bong died. 'Cause I'm not Ron Swanson. My heart, my soul, my bones, my ass, and my Johnson. They're mine and mine alone. I'm not Liz Lemon or the cast of Friends. I'm not even Mr. T. Oh, I hate to disappoint you, but I'm just me. I'm not saying we don't have some things in common. We both like paddling a canoe and sucking down the spirits of life. Me and Ron like working with both wood and women. And we both get wood from women who look like my wife. Still I'm not Ron Swanson. I'm the Charlie Brown to his Charlie Bronson. I'll try not to let you down, but when the song is over, if I look up to discover that you're gone, well, I guess that I'll understand. I can't be what no man can. I'm just Nick Offerman. And I'm not wrong. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your kind indulgence. I wasn't planning on doing that, but some of the members of my wood shop said they wanted to hear those songs, so you can bitch at them later. Now, I'm incredibly excited about this book. It's my third book, and it afforded me the opportunity to A, tell my agents to leave me alone, because I was going to spend some months in my shop making things for this book and making the book with my shop. Second, it afforded me the opportunity in a very big way to communicate to the world. It's a weird thing about commercialism. I have this shop, we filled it with people because I was going to be away doing acting jobs, so the shop is making things, and people buy things, sometimes because they're fans of Parks and Rec, and they always want to say, Nick, I have this thing that Nick Offerman made, this meat paddle, this kazoo, this table. And I haven't made anything for sale for a long time because I've been busy standing here on this trailer talking to you at a microphone. Everyone's at the shop right now making stuff, and if they're not, they're going to be punished. And so it was important to me to communicate to the world that the shop it's my shop, but there are much better Americans there making all this stuff. So this was a great way to introduce everybody to each other. And also, it's more than, it's a legit woodworking book. You can learn woodworking from this book. But given the chance to write a textbook, which I consider this, I'm the class clown. So it's a legit textbook, but every third page, when you turn it, it makes a fart noise. Which is why isn't every book like that? We'd have so much more fun going to school. I'm really glad, I'll never be, I say this in the book, I'll never be a master woodworker because I'll never devote just my life only to woodworking because I also work as a dancing jackass. And that's also really fun too. I'll probably never master either, but I just have a really good time doing whatever people will let me. And so it was a great opportunity to talk about people who do achieve a mastery, and there's 8 chapters in here featuring masters from around the country, couple of whom are here this evening. Laura Zahn, who I mentioned early, there's a chapter about her because she's this incredible maven of Los Angeles woodworking. She busts her ass. She's all about learning and teaching and making stuff, and I really look up to her. So there's a chapter about that and how exciting it is that, especially in urban areas, there are these maker spaces and co-ops and things like this happening where people are choosing to do this instead of play video games, go to a shooting range, go to a strip club, etc. All of which I'm given to understand are very enjoyable pastimes, but not as healthy as woodworking. I have yet to get an STD from the shop because I use a lot of hand sanitizer. Well, but I mean, so it's not only a legit woodworking book, but it's also a prescription for a way of life that I love and enjoy and want to espouse. I can't be a master woodworker. I'll never be like Nick Offerman, woodworking college, but I'm very grateful that I get to be a cheerleader for all of those that do have their colleges and their hand tools. Lee Nielsen is in a couple of my books. They sent some tools for us to look at, and some of the gang from Allied Woodshop have been demonstrating them here today. So it's a wonderful potpourri of information, and we don't just make stuff in the shop, we make a life together. So of course it's safety first. When we get in the shop, any of you who are not experienced, always know this, that whatever you get into with woodworking, with tools, the first thing is safety. Think about anything in your activity. If you're carving a spoon or if you're chainsawing a tree, what can get hurt? Your eyes, your ears, your lungs, your limbs. Are there going to be fumes? Do you need a respirator? Always know how to use your tools and respect them. That's first. Pay absolute attention, because if you sharpen your chisel correctly, it can hurt your feelings just as bad as a bandsaw. And of course, bandsaws and table saws can really ruin your day. But every tool, the drill presses that we have here, sanding machines, if you have long hair or friendship bracelets or hoodie strings, those things can get caught in spinning motors and really, really bum out your fashion sense. So safety first. You figure out what you're doing, make sure that everyone is safe, and then once you're comfortable with that and everybody's paying proper attention, then you can have fun with what you're doing. And at our shop, we love to have fun, we love to screw around, and we love to eat together, we love to have a cookout. There's a chapter of our cookout with recipes and how to have fun at a cookout, including making cornhole, which is a great basic woodworking project. Cornhole is a game, it is not a dish or a sexual activity. in this iteration. Around the country, I'm usually alone, and so I read a selection of things from the book, but since I have the whole gang here tonight, I'm gonna make them do it. So I'll start things off with Matt Makuchi. Matt, will you join me up here, please? Hey, fancy son of a bitch. Here's a little piece of my intro. Hear this. I love Matt Makuchi. So dubbed when the name Matty Makuchi, so dubbed when the name Matt was already claimed in the shop by my brother. Some years ago, our good friend, the master deadpan comedian Tig Notaro, contacted me to ask if we might have room at the shop for her friend's brother. He was moving to LA from New York, where he'd lately been building scenery for the public theater. Besides owing Tig a debt of blood that is best left unremarked upon, I must admit I'm a rather soft touch when it comes to anyone who has spent time working in my church of choice, the live theater. And so we corralled young Matt. Sorry, I just had a stroke for a second. So we corralled young Matt in to get a good look at him. Was he enthusiastic? Sure. Did he seem capable and somehow strapping despite his pole vaulter's build? Goddamn right. Were we completely freaked out by the devotion he professed for making and operating puppets? We were not. We love puppets. What do you take us for? Matt McCucci, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to go real smooth. Matt wrote a pledge that we recite dutifully at our cookouts, and he will favor us with that now.
Yeah, we like to start this most mornings. I promise, we should all stand, I think. The Offerman Woodshop Pledge. I promise to do my best, to keep my tools sharp and honed, to work safe, and to clean up my sawdust at all times, to make things by hand with respect and honor to the spirit of the tree, maintain our loving shop, support my fellow woodworkers, and to respect the tradition of the craft, to work hard and dirty, play John Prine, eat lunch as a family, honk my horn when leaving, and if I sprinkle when I tinkle, I'll be a sweetie and wipe the seedy.
You guys all right? That's, now, Matt is also an aspiring showbiz clown, and we're happy to have him. At some point, Barnum and Bailey are going to scoop him up, and so we're very happy to have him while we do. He has two chapters in the book, the kazoo and the pop top, his bottle opener. He's very entrepreneurial. Next, I would like to invite Chris Shelley to the stage. I'll tell you right to your face, I love Chris. I'm reading. As you'll soon learn, we have our perennial scout Lee to thank for finding our newest champion, recognizing her talent and desire to do good work, and wooing her to stay at the shop. In both of our lives, Chris and I have come to understand that making something we like, whiskey coasters or canoes, or the many things in between, can keep us on the path to a fruitful time on this earth and help us to avoid the pitfalls of vice, which is more in reference to myself than Chris. And that will, in turn, keep our honeys satisfied as well. These guys don't know what they're reading. I chose these 15 minutes ago. But Chris, I could talk for a long time about each of these gorgeous people. Chris's chapter has a lot to say about how she has the best smile in the shop. But for now, we'll hear about the mashed potatoes in the cookout section.
When I was a young child, growing up with my grandmother, I loved to cook and still do. One of my favorite things to cook was mashed potatoes with cream cheese, chives, butter, some seasoning, salt, and pepper. It was definitely a family's favorite. And if there were leftovers the next morning, we would put a little oil in the skillet of the potatoes and fry them. Oh my God, amazing.
Chris also has two chapters in the book, her coasters and her pencil holders. Let's see. Let's go with Josh Salisbury next, please. I'll be honest with you, I love Josh. His name is Josh Salisbury, which is why I immediately nicknamed him The Beef. Since the beginning of our time together, Josh's work has been known for its meticulous details and fine finishes. He's on the quiet side, but he allows us to make him smile at times, so long as he's not embroiled in the sweating of a mortise that's off by 1/128th of an inch.
I've always enjoyed building tables, especially side tables. They're relatively quick to build, don't use a ton of material, and provide an opportunity to experiment with different designs. Easy to move around, their smaller footprint also makes them particularly versatile, allowing them to seamlessly fit into a room with any decor. They also make a perfect spot to rest your beverage of choice as you read your favorite book. For this piece in particular, I wanted to draw attention to the nice figure of the Claro one at top, reminiscent of the planet Jupiter, so I used a lighter wood ash for the base. In addition, I chose to expose the top of the legs and taper them, giving the table a lighter, slightly more modern feel. There are no hidden parts on a Jupiter table. You can see everything. It's stripped down to the essential components needed to make the table both functional and strong. There are only 7 pieces, yet the use of exposed legs and mixed wood still makes it interesting.
Josh Salisbury, The Beef. Now, as you can see, we have this wonderful mix of earnest, hardworking people, and I have to say, everybody did a great job. You know, we figured out a spectrum of projects from the coaster, I think is the simplest, up through Lee's bed or Michelle's chair, so that we covered all of the joinery we wanted to see covered in the book and all kinds of finishes and stuff. But I have to say, everybody did such a great job with their chapters, but Josh gets a special A+. He turned his in and it was ready to hand into fine woodworking, so thank you, Josh. Oh, also I want to say, despite all that talk of Jupiter and whatnot, Josh is in fact not a hippie. Though hippies are welcome. Let's see, young Jane Parrott next, please. You might want to be sitting down for this next bit. Okay? You comfy? Here goes. I love Jane. She is decidedly our most groovy artist, no doubt thanks to her upbringing in a community of craftspeople in Woodstock, New York. She joined an unruly gang of Bard graduates in San Francisco, which is where Lee first ran across her path. When the two street toughs later moved to Los Angeles, Jane was actually Lee's landlord, although the nomenclature is a bit thin, considering that Lee was renting a chicken coop. For real. I'm telling you, these ladies are tough. Jane Parrott.
I grew up in the Hudson Valley in a small town near Woodstock, New York. It was the early 80s, but the grassroots community established in the 60s was still there. Many people had left more urban settings behind to build a house in the woods and raise a family. Down the road, a neighbor had an annual raucous community pig roast. In the summer, the Clearwater Festival was full of banjos, bandanas, and giant puppets. The Green, a small substitute for a town square in Woodstock, was always alive with musicians and motley characters. It was commonplace to pick a trade and make it your own homegrown business. I grew up with the idea that your life builds around what you do, and that can be an engaging and enjoyable endeavor.
Thank you, Jane. Now, my dad and my brother have chapters in the book, but they build things in Manuka, Illinois. We call it Offerman Woodshop Midwest, and they couldn't make it here this evening. I'm going to read you just a little bit of my brother's chapter about the cribbage board, because when he sent it to me, where is that thing? When he sent it to me, I was much angered, and you'll see why. 227. Oh brother, no, that's not it. Cribbage, the game of kings. The ultimate test of a human's intelligence and stamina, cribbage has decided the outcome of countless wars and royal successions. And in turn, it's also responsible for cutting the short of the reigns of some prominent leaders such as Cleopatra, Richard Nixon, and Napoleon twice. The liberal media would have you believe that cribbage was created in the 17th century by the poet Sir John Suckling, as if some foppish layabout could create this gauntlet to greatness in between writing love sonnets and powdering his wig. We know better. Cribbage has been a staple of the Offerman household for thousands of generations. Our current cribbage board was hand-carved by Jesus, brought to the new country by the Vikings, and unearthed by Joseph Smith. Originally, when the illuminated Yeti taught humans how to stand upright and read and count, the game of cribbage and its scoreboard played an integral part. Designs have changed over the centuries, especially more recently, as we've lost the ability to shape wood with our minds. Skip to the last paragraph. I hope you found these instructions to be enjoyable and they have inspired you to make your own board. Of course, if you're reading this secret chapter, then you were granted the special edition entrusted only to our inner circle. If you're indeed among the chosen, then you know that your children need to be cribbage boarded from birth, or their futures are already ruined. My daughters play each night to earn their dinner. The winner eats with the family at the table, and the loser then fights the dogs for scraps. In the end, they're both winners. Hail Eris. He sent me that and I called him and I said, "You son of a bitch." I'm supposed to be the funny one. I would next like to invite to the stage Thomas Wilhoit, who we call Tony. When Thomas showed up a few summers ago, we were, frankly, circumspect. He seemed a tad too good to be true. His fiancée, Jordan, was studying in a USC master's film program, so he was visiting LA between his junior and senior years at Harvard University, which he explained to me is a college east of the Mississippi. I replied, was that not the alma mater of our 26th president, Theodore Roosevelt? The very same, came his response. Indeed, I thought it rang a bell, I added, with, as my dad would say, the utmost of sagacity. Kentucky, huh? Might you be familiar with my favorite writer, the magnificent Wendell Berry? I queried further. Thomas coolly retorted, I've seen him speak twice. I swallowed audibly. How could I seduce this strapping youngster with the perfect pedigree to stick around our humble shop and lend to us his bucolic knowledge and burgeoning hands? Thomas Wilhoit, ladies and gentlemen.
chapter is not that notable, so I'm gonna move to the recipe. Give you some notes for my burgers. The burger is the undisputed king of the grill, just like Elvis Presley is the king of people who may not actually be dead. And there are as many ways to construct your burger as there are Elvis impersonators. You can get fancy and grind up a dry-aged New York strip and mix it with pancetta, but we're going simple here, 80-20 ground chuck. The perfect fat ratio that doesn't shrink too much or end up dry. That's your burger right there.
Children and animals, watch them. Thank you, Thomas. Now, he of course is being modest. Every single person has these incredible chapters. Thomas built that beautiful walnut slab table over there for the book, so you can shut up about your chapter being not incredible. I also want to acknowledge, I've called her the Han Solo of our shop, a woman named Michelle Diener, who many of you have known, and her mate, Ronnie the Walnut Aveling, who moved to Tasmania. They claimed that it was by their choice, that they were not compelled to do so by the Australian government, which is where Ronnie is from, so we're buying it. But Michelle was one of our most badass woodworkers in the history of our shop, and she also was a full-on hippie, but we loved her. And thanks to her, the shop often smelled, and Ronnie, of lentils and rosemary and other crazy hippie porridge that I tried. It was tasty, but it definitely had a comforting smell. But she makes a really beautiful chair for the book because we couldn't do this without her. And then finally, I'd like to invite my chubby friend Lee to the stage. Oh geez, now it's time to tell you about Lee. I'm welling up like a sap just at the prospect of it. When I knew it was time to add some hands to the shop around about 2008, I put out word to our community, and our friend Sam Moyer said, I just installed a kitchen this week with this tiny woman from Berkeley who outworked the other three guys I had on the install. And I said, please arrange a meeting. And we met, and I just immediately was in my head like, oh my God, how can I get you to run the shop? And I'm not sure if it was the tools or the delightful climate of Glassell Park, but for some reason Lee has stuck around, and none of this would exist without her. She is the Ron Swanson of Offerman Woodshop. Let me put it that way. So I'm very grateful to her. She's truly the boss, and I'm the pretty face, I guess. Please welcome Lee to the stage. Maybe I was going to read that part. Hang on, everybody. Yeah, that has some good jokes.
My parents tell me as a young kid I could entertain myself for hours playing alone with a pile of pebbles, or as evidenced in one photograph from a beach picnic, an enormous washed up sponge of unknown origin. Thankfully, nothing has changed, except now that now I have access to finer materials and more complex tools of manipulation.
And of course, Gus, who appears all throughout the book. I didn't want to put a lot of these guys through more reading than that, because while some of us are smart asses and depend on making people laugh to keep them around, most of the woodworkers are just earnest and badass, and so it's not as entertaining to hear their kick-ass chapters until you try to use them to build furniture. Then you'll applaud a second time. Lee does the last chapter in the book, this really amazing slab bed. It's a knockdown timber frame bed with a slab headboard, and she invented a cool new Japanese joint in her spare time running the shop. So that's very gratifying for me to get you to see the gang. And there are even more. Another one of the master chapters are my friends Joan and Ted from Bear Mountain Boats from Peterborough, Canada. I found them through, I don't know, almost 9 or 10 years ago now, a Google search of like, kick-ass canoe book. And Ted's book, Canoe Craft, which is the Bible of Cedar Strip canoe building, comes up. So I read it 3 times and I said, okay, I'm gonna build one of these. And I got a hold of them because you can get plans from them and everything you need. And Joan ended up, just immediately as she does, she's the great earth mother. She took me into her arms, and my friend Jimmy DeResta, who many of you know, and he's also another hero chapter in the book. And we made friends with Joan and Ted, visited their farm where their business is based. I've built a couple of their canoes. Michelle built a third for a client here at the shop. And I just really admire them. They remind me of the salt of the earth folk that I grew up with. And they have a wonderful community of people who make things. In their case, it's mainly canoes and kayaks. And what a wonderful way to live. I love going to visit them. When I built my first canoe in New York City, they came to the launching, and I was very moved that they made that trip. And Ted was very generous. He did not insult my work at all. It did float, so I took that as a compliment. But they came here this evening, so let's give them a round of applause. They came in from Canada. I think that's enough of my prepared remarks. I'm going to finish with a little piece. So my 2 chapters in the book, I teach you to make a 3-legged stool and a canoe paddle. The canoe paddle is a great, if you're just getting into woodworking, it's a wonderful introductory project because you can make it with no power tools, and it's really, a lot of it is carving of one sort or another, and it's a great way to learn how to take a spoke shave or a block plane, for example, and sharpen it and learn how to shape wood with it. And the nice thing about a canoe paddle is it's an organic shape, and if you mess it up, then you just made a skinnier canoe paddle. It's a design opportunity. It's one of my favorite things to make in the world, because you can, as you take a plank of wood, whether it's a solid plank or you've glued it up from scraps, and you shape it and you begin to feel its strength and its light weight, and you feel what a valuable, kick-ass implement you've just created. It feels like a superpower. You're like, oh, now I can get us across the ocean. honey. Spoke shave was worth the price. My other project, the three-legged stool, I'll read you a little bit about. Before I do, Wendell Berry is my favorite writer. I write about him all the time. If you're not familiar with Wendell Berry and you have purchased this book, I suggest that you tear the pages out of this book and roll them up into large marijuana joints and sell them, and then take those profits and purchase a library of Wendell Berry books. That would definitely be the most valuable way to use this writing of mine. I love to make a